There are rumors circulating that the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian armed forces, Volodymyr Zelensky, has been dismissed. Volodymyr Zelensky is not in the most stable standing at the moment, as it is with serious problems on the battlefield. We will discuss the situation with Simon Shuster, senior correspondent for Time magazine and Volodymyr Zelensky's biographer. Greetings. Thank you very much for speaking with us. I would obviously like to ask you about Volodymyr Zelensky's current situation. You have been covering the Ukrainian president's career pretty much since his presidential campaign, and you are perhaps the only journalist allowed in his inner circle. What do you think his standing is today?
Well, if you mean the relationship between President Zelensky and General Zaluzhny, that's one of the relationships that I focus on in some detail in the book. And I think at the beginning of the invasion, they started out from a position of really deep respect and mutual admiration. But over time, the tensions between them really began to emerge. You know, we're seeing them now with some of these more recent rumors of General Zaluzhny being removed from his post, unconfirmed rumors, I should say. But the tensions between them emerged when President Zelensky began to have his own priorities about what needs to happen on the battlefield. And those priorities didn't always align with the priorities and goals of the generals. I think that's fairly natural in a state of full-scale war. But it has led to the situation where there are increasingly public tensions between the two men.
But how about you? Are you expecting Zaluzhny's dismissal? Is this a likely scenario?
I think within the president's team, they understand just how difficult and destabilizing this would be for Ukraine, for the war effort. So I don't know. I have to wait for some kind of official announcement about this. I honestly, I would urge all your viewers to wait for an official announcement and not listen to the kind of, more informal, unofficial reports and rumors.
We are seeing that within the last year or so, President Zelensky's authority, which was established in the first months of the war, has been coming under fire by such figures as Kiev Mayor Klitschko or former advisor to the office of the president, Arestovich. Do you see a dangerous tendency there? How serious are these attacks on President Zelensky?
Yeah, I think it is dangerous. I think under Ukraine's constitution, at a time of war, the president is the supreme commander-in-chief. And he has the constitutional rights to tell, the military what to do. I think President Zelensky has been very clear that he plans to use all the powers entrusted in him under martial law and under the Constitution to try to win this war. And he's been very impatient with politicians who try to pipe up and talk criticize him as if it's politics as usual. But yeah, indeed, we're seeing that more and more. We're seeing more and more politicians behave as though, Ukraine is not under martial law. I think he worries about that. Yeah, certainly. That is in his view destabilizing for the country, and not it is not the time in his view for politics as usual.
Simon, I wanted to apologize, as I have not read your book yet, but I plan on doing so. It became a real sensation, but I would like to hear about your own personal view of Zelensky's current state.
Yeah, that's interesting that there are such contradictory ideas of what I write about him. I can only encourage your viewers to read the book and read my reports about President Zelensky. I think one thing that stands out in my experience with him is that he remains very deeply committed to winning this war. He's not changing his mind. He's not really changing his message in promising the people of Ukraine victory, meaning the restoration of all of Ukraine's territory. Maybe within his inner circle, maybe within his government, there are people who question whether Ukraine and Ukraine's military can deliver that promise, but I have not seen any indication that President Zelensky is changing his stance, so changing his own goals in this war. He is fully committed.
Это я понимаю, но что вы увидели внутри?
I understand that, but what did you see on the inside? Did you see a man fully convinced of his country's victory, or did you see a desperate man?
No, in public, in private, in all of our conversations, his confidence in victory has been absolute. I think, yeah, maybe that worries some of his advisors, some of the people I've talked to within the administration. Maybe they don't agree that that the office of the president should be promising such total victory. But Zelensky himself, yeah, I do not see any doubt in him about the possibility of victory and the idea that victory is coming.
Знаете, Саймон, на днях я случайно наткнулась на концерт, кажется, 2000...
You know, Simon, I recently came across a video online of a gala that took place in 2006, I think. It was a traditional New Year's TV celebration in Russia. And Volodymyr Zelensky was there alongside Maxim Galkin, a famous Russian comic who was forced to flee the country. The Klitschko brothers were also there, drinking champagne. Russian artists who stayed and supported the war were also there. Zelensky was part of that world. How did he take this rupture?
I think so, but that split is about 10 years old. I think really after the annexation of Crimea in 2014, President Zelensky's politics toward Russia and also his position as an entertainer really changed. So I think, you know, before 2014, yes, he was open to the idea of brotherhood between Russia and Ukraine, but I think that idea died after the annexation of Crimea in him.
My
My last question is regarding your outlook on the future. Will there be a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia? Is Kyiv ready for that?
I really try not to make prognoses. That's not my job, but I can tell you that President Zelensky is preparing everything possible to continue this war as long as he and the Ukrainian people feel is necessary, even if Western support continues to decline. I mean, my most recent report in Time magazine just yesterday talked about domestic weapons production inside Ukraine. And this is one of the steps that they're taking to try to continue the war, even if Western support continues declining. So I don't think President Zelensky is in any mood to negotiate. And the reason for that is that the Ukrainian people do not see any trust in Russia as a negotiating partner or any grounds for negotiations.
Thank you very much. This has been Simon Shuster, senior correspondent for Time magazine, and Volodymyr Zelensky's biographer.